In the dusty sunlight of an old Texan yard sale, a small copper coin caught the eye of a young collector. It gleamed faintly, old and humble, but something about it whispered history. It was a 1951 wheat penny, and its journey had begun long before in a crowded mint in Denver, where the sound of metal and machinery never stopped. The coin was born in the year after World War II, a time when America stood tall but still carried the deep scars of battle and loss. This penny was stamped with the letter D, a symbol of Denver, echoing through its ridges like a secret code. To most people, a penny is just a penny, spare change for a vending machine or a charity jar. Yet this particular penny was different. It held the echoes of time, each microscopic mark a fingerprint of history no museum could fully explain. As the young collector flipped the coin in his hand, he noticed the wheat stalks on its reverse side, stretching like silent sentinels guarding forgotten fields. These stalks were not just decoration. They were symbols of American resilience, of farmers who fed a nation and families who dreamed of tomorrow. The coin carried the weight of humble beginnings, but also the promise that even the smallest object could connect us to the soul of a nation. It was more than copper and zinc. It was memory cast in metal. He took the penny home and placed it under a magnifying glass. Tiny scars, tiny smiles, tiny stories hidden in every nook of its surface. He could almost hear the laughter of children chasing ice cream trucks, long summer days from decades past. This coin had passed through thousands of hands, merchants, soldiers, teachers, lovers holding hands on Main Street. None knew they touched more than just currency. They held a silent witness of life itself. Some collectors believed this coin was common, yet when held by someone who understood its story, it became something rare, not in numbers, but in emotional weight. The young collector began researching. He learned how pennies like this once bought candy, and paid for phone calls where people whispered sweet nothings. He imagined the coin ringing in pocket changes and jingling through the years. He discovered stories of coins found in old attics, wallets, and even buried beneath floorboards, each with its own secret to tell about the people and places it had seen. The 1951 wheat penny is a bridge between generations. It reminds us that history is not only in textbooks but also in the quiet, forgotten things we step over every day. People around the world were now searching for this coin, drawn not by greed but by fascination. They posted photos online, compared tiny differences, whispered theories about rare minting varieties, and each penny lover felt a personal connection. Some believed that certain 1951 pennies carried unique characteristics, slight shifts in design, faint doubling of letters, that could make them worth far more than mere change. But beyond its financial value, the story of this coin was proving something deeper, that we treasure memory and mystery more than metal. Collectors began talking about the coin like an old friend. They shared stories of how finding one made them feel like time travelers who had touched the heartbeat of an era long gone. With every new video uploaded to YouTube, the legend grew. Viewers tuned in not just for price guides, but for the human connection, the revelation that something so ordinary could be so extraordinary. People from distant lands sent messages, saying this humble penny made them look at their own history differently. What did the coins in their pockets say about their lives? Their dreams? The 1951 wheat penny was once just change in a jar. Now it had become a mirror reflecting the values we forget: patience, curiosity, wonder. This penny taught people to listen, to stories whispered in dusty basements and old family heirlooms. It reminded them that every object has a past, every mark a meaning, every journey a destination. The young collector placed his coin in a display case, but he didn't see it as an artifact. He saw it as a storyteller, a humble ambassador of an age that had shaped the world. Viewers watching the video felt drawn in because they, too, could imagine this coin in their hands, feeling its edges, hearing its silent voice. Some wrote comments like, "It feels like I'm holding history," and "Who knew history was this close to us?" They felt the coin had awakened something inside them. And that is the magic of the 1951 wheat penny. Not just copper stamped with a date, but a vessel of time, a whisper from an era that shaped families, dreams, and nations. This penny wasn't just collected, it was felt. It was lived. It was cherished. And now, as the world watches and listens, this humble coin continues to teach us that the greatest treasures aren't always the rarest by count. They are the richest in story and heart. The story of the 1957 wheat penny begins in the heart of the Denver Mint, where millions of copper coins were born under roaring machines and glowing furnaces. Each coin looked identical, but destiny had chosen one penny to become a legend. That penny rolled off the press one cold morning in early 1957, its surface still warm, gleaming with life. Workers at the mint didn't know that this tiny piece of metal would someday travel across the landscapes of America and become a silent witness to love, war, loss, and discovery. It was placed in a small cloth bag and sent out to a Denver bank, mixed among countless others. From there, it entered circulation and began its extraordinary journey across time. The first hands that touched it belonged to a young soldier named William Hart. He was just 21, full of dreams, and about to leave for Korea. Before departing, he stopped at a diner in Texas, where he met a waitress named Evelyn. Evelyn had bright eyes and a secret smile that hid a storm within her. She was in love with another woman named Clara, a schoolteacher who lived quietly in the same town. Their love was hidden, forbidden by the world around them. When William left for war, he paid for his meal and left that 1957 penny as part of his tip. Evelyn picked it up, turning it between her fingers as if it carried a strange warmth. That night, she slipped the penny into a folded letter she wrote to Clara, confessing everything she never dared to say aloud. The letter was sealed but never sent. Evelyn feared discovery, judgment, and shame. Instead, she hid it inside Clara's old geography book, a book filled with maps, mountains, and oceans, symbols of freedom they both longed for but couldn't reach. Time moved on. Evelyn grew older, Clara moved away, and the small town changed. Yet, the letter and the penny remained untouched inside that geography book, waiting to be found. Decades later, in 1993, the book resurfaced in a thrift store in Colorado. A collector named John Matthews bought it for 50 cents, never imagining that he was about to uncover one of the most moving love stories in American history. As John flipped through the yellowed pages, a small folded envelope slipped out and fell to the floor. Inside was a fragile letter, and that shining 1957 wheat penny, still carrying a reddish glow as if it had never aged. The words inside the letter spoke of forbidden love, of nights spent dreaming, of a penny kept as a symbol of hope when the world refused to understand. It wasn't just a confession, it was a piece of human truth sealed in copper and paper. John was stunned. He knew he wasn't holding just a coin, he was holding emotion, history, and courage frozen in time. He began to research the story behind the letter, and found that both Evelyn and Clara had lived quiet lives, leaving no descendants, no public trace of their love. The story spread quietly among coin collectors and historians. They began calling it the Love Penny, a 1957 wheat penny that symbolized an era when love had to hide in the shadows. Over the years, the penny changed hands again, from collector to collector, each one feeling the strange aura it carried. Some said they felt warmth when they held it. Others claimed it brought a sense of peace. In museums and conventions, people whispered its story, never fully sure if it was real or a beautiful legend crafted from history and imagination. But one thing was certain: the 1957 wheat penny had become more than money. It was a message from the past, reminding the world that love, in all its forms, is timeless. It crossed geography, crossing borders of hearts and maps alike. It had traveled from Denver's mint to Texas, from a folded letter to a thrift store shelf, from one era of silence to another of acceptance. Collectors still search for it today. Some claim to have found similar coins with faint fold marks along the rim, as if pressed by the paper of that forgotten letter. Others believe it's still out there, somewhere in America, waiting for someone who understands its silent voice. The penny represents more than value, it represents humanity. The courage to love, the pain of hiding, and the power of memory. For many, it became a symbol of pride, an emblem of how small things can carry big stories. Even a simple copper coin can hold a lifetime of emotion, if you listen closely enough. Historians often say every coin tells a story of economy and trade. But this one told a story of hearts, of secret lives, of what it means to be truly free. The geography book where it was found is now preserved in a private collection, its pages still holding the scent of old paper and forgotten dreams. Evelyn's handwriting remains soft and trembling, her final words echoing in the folds. Love is not a sin. It's just another way of breathing. Whenever someone reads that line, they say the penny seems to shimmer slightly, as though responding to the light of truth. The 1957 DeWitt penny will forever remain a legend, not for its rarity or monetary worth, but for the heart it carried within its copper soul. And perhaps that's the true treasure. Not gold, not silver, but the courage to love when the world said you shouldn't. Even after decades, the story of the love penny continues to travel, folded between pages of history and memory, whispering softly across time.